Okay, well, we're back, and part two. Where did we leave off? We talked about the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah,
And your sales manager gave you that. Is that correct?
I was working for a large retail
Do you
store.
remember him, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
His name was Byron Siegel.
Okay. Ever stay in touch with him, or?
No, he wasn't real well liked because he was on a real fast track, and a lot of people resented that. And you'll find this out in life. Not everybody's happy for your success, but yeah, he took a liking to me, and I was like a sponge back in those days, just trying to learn. And he gave me the book Think and Grow Rich, and I started reading, passages like, if you think you can achieve, if you can you believe it, you can achieve it. If you think you can or think you can't, you're right either way. And it was very inspiring to me. I mean, I had never read material like that. And as a result of reading the book and getting more and more confidence in myself and my abilities, I said, I looked for a job in sales. Found out that, by working hard, and I did well, and one thing led to another, and I started my own company.
Okay. Now, the guy that gave you the book, now, was that in corporate, or was that in a direct sales company?
No, he was corporate, which was really interesting. He was just a personal growth junkie, and he was, like I say, on the fast track, and he read the book and found it fascinating, and he gave it to me.
Okay, so you start believing in, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can, you're right too.
Yeah.
And started reading some personal development books. I know you got involved with Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
And I don't know when, during your journey, you got involved with Dale Carnegie. Was it after you started your business or before?
Yeah. Yeah, it was afterwards. When I read the book Think and Grow Rich, it had you list things that you wanted to do and accomplish.
Right.
And I wrote down 42 items that I wanted to...
was that the original list that we saw?
Yeah, that was
earlier?
my original goal.
Okay.
List,
Right.
yeah. That was,
so there was 42 items on that?
42 items on that, and I knew that working in a retail environment, getting just a regular paycheck, wouldn't allow me to buy all those things that were on that list. So I started looking for a sales job. And I remember I went in and interviewed for a copier position, selling photocopy equipment. And the guy asked me, why should I hire you? Because you don't have any sales experience. And I pulled out I had the goals in my wallet, and I pulled them out, and I said, it's a shame that I might not qualify for this position, because there's a lot of things that I want to buy and accomplish, and I was hoping that you were going to be that vehicle, because if you were, I was going to make a lot of money for both of us.
Right.
And he was blown away by that. First of all, that I would even say that. Second of all, that I had my goals in my wallet. And he said to me, hang on, he said, I want to bring my boss in, and I want to ask you the same question, and will you answer it exactly the same way? And I did, and I got the job. So
selling photocopiers.
Selling photocopy equipment.
Okay.
Found out that I was really good at sales. I had developed a little system that I used, and as a result,
selling system, or
no, a system to to get me out and selling every single day.
Okay.
And I think there's a direct correlation. You look at somebody like McDonald's, Jeff. They can have the owner can leave the store and have a 16, 17-year-old person run the store because of the systems in place. And so I've always believed in having a system, and I just developed my own system when I was selling photocopy equipment, which led me to setting some records for the company.
Okay, so how does one go about, first of all, you knew what you wanted, so you felt like you wanted a better quality of life, and you knew that working in retail or whatever wasn't going to get you, or working for someone else really wasn't going to get you to your 42 items on your list. So you figured you had to go into sales and or have your own business. Ultimately, probably have your own business, but originally just go into sales and start making some money. So how does one go about, once I have my list of things that I want to achieve, how did you develop your system?
Well,
because a lot of people are going to ask, I would like to know what that system was, because you became very successful.
Yeah, I've developed obviously I've developed a system over the years. One of the things that
does it change per business, Or is it the fundamentals always the same?
Now I have a 10-step process that I go through to write a goal and to accomplish the goal.
Can we talk about that today? Are you going to be able to talk about that today?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So it was. I mean, there's all kinds of things everybody wants to buy.
Right.
You need a vehicle in order to buy those things.
Right.
And I think that the plan of action, I think, is the tough part. I mean, to write a goal that I want to go to Hawaii, all right,
It's
and
easy.
take my family
That's
there,
easy.
that's easy.
Right.
To know that I need to have X amount of dollars put away per month in order to do that,
Right.
that's easy.
Right.
Okay. What isn't easy is coming up with a plan to get it done.
Okay. All right.
And that's what I've really spent a lot of time on.
So would the plan consist of like making 10 phone calls a day, or would it be something like that or not?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be
Okay.
obviously there's a process to it, but there's things that you have to do on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, to accomplish. I've always been an activity-based person. In other words, I judge myself by the amount of activity I do on a daily basis, weekly basis, a monthly basis, not necessarily how many sales I might have made.
Okay.
Because if I do the activity, the sales are going to come.
Okay.
So I developed a point system, and I even back in the day when I was selling photocopy equipment down the street, I had a point system where if I went into a certain office building and I found a Xerox machine, well, that was worth 5 points to me. And if I left that office and went to another office and found a Pitney Bowes machine, well, that was worth 10 points to me and the reason it was worth more points is because I knew they were priced high. I knew I had a better chance of replacing that equipment with my equipment. So on a daily basis, I was just looking for points. That's what I was looking for.
Interesting.
And back in the day, I was a gigantic basketball fan, and I was trying to score 100 points a day. And if I knew I could score 100 points a day, a day, that's like 100 points in a basketball game. That's all I looked for.
Because no one else is doing it.
I was just out there looking for points.
So you're making kind of fun.
Oh, it was a game to me. And by the way, I didn't get any points for making a sale.
Oh.
I get paid for that, right?
So just leading up to the sale, you got points.
Right. So my sales manager, who happened to be in New Hampshire, and I was working in Maine, all he would ask me was to call in the daily, just tell me your sales, tell me your points, Jim. And I would just
So you shared your point system with your sales manager, or did your sales manager adopt it for all the salespeople?
I was out selling. There's 5 salesmen working out of our New Hampshire branch, and I was out selling all of them every single month.
Wow.
And so they were wondering, what's the kid in Maine doing? And eventually I actually presented the whole program to the entire company on a national level. So
Wow.
It's just a fun way to keep track of it. And,
Okay.
you know.
And so did you get obviously the sale was a reward, but in the money that came from the sale, but did you give yourself, because they always say, like you said, your end goal is Hawaii, and did you have rewards?
Yeah, I had a reward system.
Because the Yankees, last time we talked about the Yankees, that was your end goal. That's what you wanted.
Right. It's interesting. Back in those days, Jeff, I didn't necessarily, write down everything on paper. I had my 42 items that I wrote down and have, and I've actually accomplished everything that's on that list that was important to me. But it's I rewarded myself 2 ways. If I accomplished the sales goal that I had set for myself, or obviously my boss had set for me, and if I accomplished my action activities. And so I rewarded myself, like for example, if I did 100 points a day, for 5 days, that's 500 points for the week, then I rewarded myself with a massage. I went and got a massage, which I normally would never do.
Okay.
Right? And if I accomplished the goal, well, that's, of making those sales, and I get paid for that.
That's something that you continue to do this day, because you tell me there's a barber shop that really, that does the shave, and they really take care of you, the Russian barber shop, right?
Yeah.
And it's really elite here.
Yeah.
And it's a you don't go there all the time, but they know that if you do go there, you actually hit your goals.
Yeah, what I do is I have the same plan today that I had 30 years ago.
Okay.
I just refined it. If I reach my activity goals, then I actually get what they call a hot stone massage. Okay, apparently I'm still into massages. If I hit my my physical goals or the actual goals, then I reward myself with what they call the whole shebang. I go to this barber shop and they actually, cut your hair, wash your hair, give you a shave,
give you a cigar,
facial,
right,
and hand you a cigar when you leave.
Right.
Right? And so my barber knows that when I call and say the whole shebang, he'll say to me, "So you made your quota," and
cool.
so we kind of make a goal out of it. So.
All right. Now, how do you feel about this? Now, there's I've heard two different things. I'm going to have you, now, could you grab your goals? I'm not going to have you share them, but
Sure.
could you just kind of grab, they're also in the, just a simple stand-up and kind of some things that he's been working on. And how do you don't need to keep on sharing it with the camera, but they can see it.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about publicly sharing your goals? And just keeping them personal, because there's some stuff on that list that's really personal. You wouldn't really want out in the public.
You want to share it with people that share your,
That you love and support?
Yeah, and they love and support you.
Right.
Because you need some type of accountability.
Because you got to be careful of judgment, right? Because then that could shoot you down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm old enough and mature enough now to know that, like I said, not everybody's happy for your success.
Right.
All right? And I'll share, goals with people that are important to me that support me.
So let's say this. What if you live with a family member, spouse, or someone, or maybe you're just starting out, and when Adam and I lived with each other, Adam and I would share our goals all the time. But I'm sure that there's other situations where, if your sibling or whatever, your spouse, they didn't share the same enthusiasm. They couldn't understand why you're investing in books and investing in classes and really wanting to set your goals, and you have them down in writing. And if they did kind of look at them, they would laugh at you. How do you go about like that kind of situation? How would you approach that?
Well, every year, beginning of the year, your mom and I sit down and we write out 50 things that we want to do, have, be, experience. So
you include the spouse, or you include the
absolutely,
person.
absolutely.
And that's the way to kind of get around it.
Well,
so they feel included.
All of a sudden, now your mom knows why I might work an extra couple hours.
Oh, that's good.
Because, obviously, I'm going after goals. You're going to have goals that are just for yourself.
Sure.
You're going to have goals that are just for your family. You're
Right.
going to have goals that are just for you and Jeannie.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
and when you write down 40 goals, I'm going to tell you what, it's easy to write down 10, 20, 25, 30 goals. When you start getting to 50 goals, I mean, it's quite a nice process to go
So you
through.
go through 50, because I've also heard, write down 100.
I do 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys do it, well, when you guys used to commute from Maine to Arizona and vice versa, that's kind of when you spent the time to do it. You had the time to do it.
Well, when you have 5.5 days in the
Right,
car,
sure.
you have a lot of time to
Right.
to write things down, and
Yeah.
it's a fun process. I mean, we did a little bit of that this morning when we all went out to breakfast.
Sure.
We said, if this happens, what are you going to do with the income that you make? And we all started talking just about some
That's
of the
right.
things
That
we're
was
going
fun.
to do.
That's right.
It's a fun
It
process.
gets you to think.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the hardest thing for people to do is to think.
That's what Abe Lincoln says.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
why so few people engage in it.
Right. And just kind of things that I took away from listening to my dad, because I've heard this before, is when I got a job with Ron Marks, he promoted Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy and Jim Rohn, those guys. And at the time, he was just promoting Tom Hopkins. I didn't have any experience at all, coming out of college. But I knew that it sounded fun. I liked the professional seminar industry. I loved learning, and I was like, wow, there's actually a job you can actually be out there and speak on your feet for 45 minutes in front of someone and give them the sales techniques and say, hey, listen, well, by the way, Tom Hopkins is going to be coming into town. Would you like to come and then sell tickets basically to a seminar. Now, I had zero selling experience, so why would they hire me? I mean, they took a gamble on me. But what I did was I did the same thing that you did. I had all my goals in a 3-ring binder, and I have them at home, and I'll share with you them someday. But I actually gave them to him, and I said, listen, you're right, I have zero experience. But I do know that this is what I want to do. And these are some things, I've been writing down my goals since middle school. And first of all, they were floored by that. They're like, "Who does that?"
Well, Jeff, only 3% of the entire population even write down their goals. So just the fact that you have them on paper
Right.
separates you from everybody else, yet alone a 21-year-old trying to get a job.
You know, I would label myself as a screwball at that time, but the other side of the coin, I probably wouldn't, because my mom gave me the Tony Robbins CDs, and I went through those. You gave me the Think and Grow Rich. I had gumball machines in college.
Also,
but you compare yourself to people that are way above you, right?
You also took the Dale Carnegie class while you were in college.
Right, took the Dale Carnegie
class.
Plus
You got your real estate license while you were in college.
Right, so I did a few things.
Yeah.
But, but if you're studying success and learning this kind of stuff, you know that if you're just starting out, you're so small. And, you have so much more to go. And that was the time they took a gamble on me, and they said, they basically said the same thing. Hey, listen, let me invite so-and-so in here, and you just say the same thing that you said to me, and share, push your goals in front of me and say, hey, listen, I don't know, I know that I'm going to be, good at what I do, and I'm just hoping that I get a chance to work with your company. Here's some things that I want to achieve. I've been writing them down since middle school, and they were like, wow, who does that?
Yeah, nobody.
No one does. And, I was the only one really entrepreneurial when I was working for those guys. And also, when I was working for Tom Hopkins, I was like, there's so many people that work for these guys that, just to work for them. But I wanted to apply and learn from all these guys. So that's why I joined a network marketing company, and actually started really, writing down my goals. One of my original goals was to get out of the rat race and stop working for Tom Hopkins. And not that it was a bad job, but, I wasn't going to stay there forever. And I'll never forget when I was I was sitting down with the president of Tom Hopkins International, and she said to me, there's going to be no place for advancements in this company. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want an advancement. I want to learn as much as I can with these guys and apply it and actually make a killing way more than anybody in this office. But I didn't say that, of course. But and that's what I did. So I made my goal to get out of the rat race, and they have the form that I used to get out of the rat race. It's the one from Rich Dad Poor Dad. But I didn't quit my job until I earned triple what Tom was paying me. And I think that was smart. I think some people obviously quit their jobs too soon. So now, has this worked outside of your photocopier business? I mean, now let's fast forward. Now you're retired, semi-retired.
Well, actually, I sold my goal was to retire before I was 50.
Okay.
And I actually sold my company 2 months to the day before I turned 50. So I had accomplished that goal. And once I sold my business, I cashed out basically, and you're in a whole different situation when you now you can start doing things because you want to do them, not because you have to do them.
Sure.
And I was looking. We moved out here to Arizona, and I was looking for something to do because you can't play golf. I didn't play golf well enough, Jeff, that I even wanted to play every day.
Plus, I mean, wouldn't you be bored? I mean, I wrote down, like, maybe it's not about all the money, but it's about being productive. I mean, let's say we were talking about that thing today at breakfast. It's an investment. So let's say if it happens, and financially stable, whatever. But wouldn't you still be doing something? Because aren't we only happy when we produce?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be doing the same thing I'm doing right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'd be doing the same thing.
So you're doing what makes you happy.
You have to, when you get up in the morning, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, it's, gosh, I can't imagine not being passionate about what you're doing.
But Dad, there's a lot of people out there that have jobs that have to get up from night, So what would you do? What would you say to them?
Well, sometimes you get into the business, and then the business gets into you.
Right.
And when I sold my business, Jeff, I don't miss. I had over 100 employees, and I don't miss having 100 employees and 100.
Do you miss the relationships?
I miss my customers, and I miss my employees.
Okay.
Right. I miss growing a business. And so I was looking for something to do.
A traditional business? Because then you segue into network
marketing. Well, I tried to do another traditional business, and I found myself right back in the rat race again. And
what do you mean by that? Because you have too much going out and not enough coming in?
Well, one of the things that when I was growing my copier business, I required my salespeople to have monthly contact with every client. I didn't care if they did it note, card, letter, personal visit.
Phone call.
Yeah, it didn't make any difference. Just
Okay.
have contact, because I knew for every month that they didn't have contact, they lose 10% of their influence. I also knew that number one reason why somebody doesn't do business with you is because they feel you took their business for granted, or they just find they forgot you. And I didn't want that to happen. So I started a greeting card company, making greeting cards for salespeople, because I could never find appropriate cards. But when I say I was right back in the rat race, I was designing the cards, creating the cards, making the cards, warehousing, fulfilling, collecting the money, selling.
I was your sales rep, and you couldn't afford to pay me.
It was just, and
No offense.
no, well,
You paid me occasionally.
it was a valuable. You were paying me
I was
back.
sweat
You were paying
equity
me back for
all the stuff that you gave me.
There you go. There you go. Okay, and so when the network marketing opportunity came along, and I'd been approached in the past before, but I'd never been approached by a company that I really could be passionate about. And because I got approached by send out cards, and it was natural for me because I was already in the greeting card business. I believed in staying in touch.
Right.
And here's something.
It was easy for you.
Oh, they do everything. All I had to do was
It couldn't have fallen in your lap at a better time.
Oh, it was perfect, and then all I had to go out and share it, and that's exactly what I did.
So John Maxwell says the law of timing. It's being at the right person, right place at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what I did is I got into the business, and I was kind of dabbling with it for the first few weeks.
Yep.
And I remember sitting down and really going, okay, if I'm really going to go after this business, and what really made me decide to go after this business was because the first two people I enrolled were you and your brother. And now, your two sons now have committed to you. What are you going to do? So I said, well, if I'm going to be serious about this business, I need to start using my gold sheet, because that's what built my company. We had a very small company when I started, but when I sold it, we were the 22nd largest Sharp distributorship in the country. And it's because I required my salespeople to fill out these, this is a monthly goal sheet that we had. We have 4 goals, 8 action plans, 2 reward systems. And I said, if I'm going to make send out cards successful, then I need to do that form. And that's when I pulled out
So
the
you
form.
made it a business. It wasn't a hobby.
That's right.
So you saw some success that we had and said, well, listen, I'd rather work with them. And if they're making this as a business, I can't have Dad sit on the sidelines.
Well, I knew what I know myself. I know what I need to do personally.
You're very competitive.
I'm very competitive, but I also am competitive with myself. I knew what I needed to do in order to make myself successful, and that was to hold myself accountable. And the way I hold myself accountable was to do my monthly goal sheets, and then I came up with the scorecard, which
okay. So the scorecard is basically what we went over earlier about basically you get certain points for doing revenue producing activities.
Right. Absolutely.
And that was something that kept him in line. Now, what really kept me in line is the contact follow-up form. So I'd put the name of the person, and basically it would be the sales process above, and I would just check mark where they were in the sales process. So if you think about it, my only thing for me would be to keep on adding people to the list. Now, if your list there's not too many people on your list, the sales process only goes so far, and if you're not going to make any money. So you've got to keep on adding people to the list. And like you, I couldn't have fell into a better opportunity, because at the time when Tom Hopkins was teaching, hey, how I built my real estate business is because I sent out handwritten thank you notes, and obviously most salespeople don't do it because they're lazy. It takes time. It's not really the cost, right? And so I was like, this is a no-brainer. I've got a solution. I'll offer the solution, and I did it. I made it happen. But I had the people to consistently add to my list.
Right.
So.
Well, I think that's we all know people that that we can contact. I think somebody told me that if you're over 21 years old, 2,500 people by their first name. All right.
Well, if you're over 21 years old, you probably should have at least 2,000 people on your Facebook friends as well. So you could use social.
Even today, Jeff, on my monthly goal sheet. In fact, I just completed it for the month of May here. And one of my action plans is to identify 20 prospects. So I have to go out and meet 20 new people or identify 20 people.
This is for this month.
This is for this month, yeah. So I'm constantly
What
adding
was it
to
for
them.
last month?
Last month it was 12. And the reason it was 12 last month is because I only worked 12 days last month. So, I look at my schedule for the month, and if I realize I'm gone for a week, I don't put the pressure on myself of meeting, 5 people that particular week. So it's
So based on your schedule.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So can you go over some of the stuff on the sheet here? Obviously goals for the month, category action plans, affirmations, and
Yeah, when I go through my 10-step goal process, Jeff, the first thing I do is...
Okay, so give us the first step.
Okay, well, the first step is and by the way, there's 22 questions associated with the first step that I have to answer.
This will be something else. We'll go into this.
Well, I'll just tell you that one of the first steps is just identify 10 things that happened to you in your life that you really feel good about, 10 things that you accomplished, because you need to get into the right mindset before you even sit down to write out your goals. So that's like step number 1. And then when you identified 50 different things, you go down through the list of 50 different things, and you put categories or the number of years you're going to take to get it. Like, this is a goal that I have for 12 months. This is a goal for 36 months or 60 months or 10 years. So now you have all 50 goals, and you have a time frame, either 1, 3, 5, or 10 years. Then you go back and look at all the number ones, all the things you want to accomplish this year, and you pick out the 4 most important ones. And once you pick out the 4 most important ones, they have a little formula called the SMART formula.
Is this on paper, or is this in your head?
It's on paper in my head.
Because you've internalized it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do this as a workshop, and we'll go really in depth with this, because it's going to take a lot more time than really that.
No question. But anyway, so when you look at this...
Basically the basics of this sheet, so they're going to have an opportunity to get this sheet.
For the 4 that I picked...
First of all, they could realistically, if you're watching this, you could say, hey, listen, I could just write down what you guys just said. Or you could just download the form and have it right for you, and just make copies for people. So, and yourself. I mean, why would they? First of all, why would you want this form? Because it worked for you. And it worked for your people too. Just real quickly, I know you want to jump in, but what was really a turning point for me to use this form, I don't know if you know this, was Brian Heath when he walked into your cabin in Maine and your goal sheets were up. And Brian Heath was one of his sales people for his photocopier business, one of your top guys.
Yeah.
And he could not believe that my dad still used this form after all the years after the photocopier business. He's like, and that is the reason why you're successful. And I'll never forget when Jordan walked into our house, Adam, the first house we owned. We had a whole wall. It was a bookshelf built into the wall, filled with personal development books. And he said on a conference call, I now know the reason why Jeff and Adam are successful is look at their library. Look at how much they've read and studied. There's a correlation there. And, if anything, success, hopefully leaves clues, right? If we're aware enough to recognize that. But give us a few reasons why they should print this out right now and start taking advantage of it. Now, it's the 1st of May, or whenever you're listening to this, but it's right. Yesterday was your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And now let's get the job done for this month. So give us some reasons why they should take advantage of this.
Well, the first reason, Jeff, is that if you write down your goal, if you simply just write it down on paper, you have a 42% better chance of achieving it. So why wouldn't you put it on paper? That's right.
If the stats are for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you notice there's 4 areas to put goals in. As I told you, when you
way back in the beginning, you said educational, physical, investing, sales, whatever.
Right, and I mean right now, obviously, I've picked 4 areas to work in, and so I have a yearly goal. I break it down into a monthly goal,
which we just shared, but there'll be a workshop on that.
Yeah,
break it down like that. Okay.
Yeah, and it's so that's why there's 4 categories on top. There's 8 action plans to accomplish. because you got to do the actions. So you can identify the goals, and then I reward myself.
And what you have some affirmations on there too. So
yeah, want me to read my favorite
So-
affirmation?
is it important to give yourself affirmations? And obviously you believe in affirmations, or else you wouldn't have it on your sheet. So
I love this one.
give us some examples.
I love this one. I came across it a few months ago. It says, "Don't worry about what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and do that, because what the world needs is people who've come alive."
There you go. That's good.
I love that. I mean, because, and that's now why I'm following my particular passion. Another one is I'm living a meaningful and productive life of passion, purpose, and well-being. I am creating my future. I'm responsible. I love reading that stuff. And by the way, my first action plan every month is to read my goals. Just to remind myself.
Every single month or every single day?
Every single day. I read.
Yeah, okay.
I have to read this every single day. My goals. And in fact, I have them posted, as you can see. And
Do you get a? I'm just gonna ask you. Do you get a point for reading
well, of
goals?
course I do. That's the easiest point that I get.
Okay. All right. Cool. Awesome.
So and then with the last one every month I have to analyze the previous month.
So you go back, and John Maxwell talks about that
Yeah.
during Christmas to New Year's, or his prime time. He actually,
It's a great time.
he just kind of reflects on the past year.
Yeah, and I tell you what.
But you do it every month.
Yeah, and Jeff, sometimes I used to cheat on my points and then I realized that nobody's looking at my points other than me. So now I'm realistic. When I give myself points, it's because I've earned them, not because I'm fudging the numbers.
So if I call you and say how many points you get, you're going to be.
Oh yeah, I can tell you exactly.
Now, do you have an accountability partner, or is it basically just yourself?
I have 2 or 3 people that I talk to on a quite regular basis, and not necessarily all use the same program,
Right.
but it's like a mastermind group.
Okay.
And I'm always looking for, I added a person to the group a couple weeks ago, and we're excited about working together because together you can achieve more. So.
Sure. Well, Dad, I think this has been great. Really appreciate it. This will be. We'll do a workshop on your 10 questions, and basically there's like 22 questions in each.
Well, it's a 10-step process that I go through.
Okay, so it's going to take some time.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
But it's totally worth it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So they're going to have an opportunity to get this sheet, with the goal sheet. So I encourage you to do that. And thank you for listening, Dad. Thank you. You're awesome, obviously. So appreciate
Jeff,
it.
one of my goals has always been to work with my sons, and so
Have your son interview you.
yeah, I'm getting a point for this.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks,
Talk to you
guys.
later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.